Hello, all of you. So, the next topic that we are going to start is solvency ratios. And solvency ratio simply refers to efficiency of a firm to meet its interest as well as the principal amount on the loan taken by the firm. So, in the all the coming solvency ratios, we will judge how efficiently a firm is able to meet its long-term financial obligations, that is, interest and the principal amount on the loan taken by them. So, in this long-term solvency ratios, most of the time you will be busy in calculation of few of the terms. And what are those terms? First is the shareholders fund, then debts, then capital employed, total assets. And with the help of this small format of balance sheet, we will be trying to calculate how these figures actually we used to calculate. Now see in the liabilities side, and I am presenting this balance sheet in a vertical form so that you will be easily able to understand. So in the liability side, we are having equity share capital, preference share capital, reserve and surplus, long-term borrowing, long-term provision, then current liabilities. And when we total equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserve and surplus plus long-term borrowing plus long-term provisions plus current liabilities, that is a part of total liabilities. It is known as total liabilities. Now we will start bifurcating the various heads by adding or by deducting, and we will see how the different terms now we are getting. And the terms that we will be getting will be from the liabilities side, what we call the liabilities approach. We are calculating few of the terms by using the accounts of the liabilities side. So in the green shaded part you see equity share capital, preference share capital and reserve and surplus. So that green shaded part, when you add them, that is equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserve and surplus, that is actually known as shareholders fund or equity or net worth or even the owners fund. So that means shareholders fund, equity, net worth, it is all are the same thing. It doesn't have any differences. Okay, the shareholders fund, equity, net worth, all are same thing, because sometimes we get confused that equity refers to the equity share capital, but it's not like that. Equity includes all equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserve and surplus. That means anything that belongs to the shareholders, that is a part of equity, and that is including the share capital as well as all the reserves and any accumulated profits. So that means one formula that we are getting is that shareholders fund or equity or net worth is equal to equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserve and surplus. Now see the next below that, in a pink shaded part there, long term borrowings and short term provisions. Now long term borrowings and short term provisions, the addition of these two, it is known as debts. See that encircled part, debts, long term borrowings plus short term provisions, they are termed as the addition of these two, it is known as debts. And these debts actually represents the long term debts, the debts which will be repayable after a period of 12 months. Okay, so although the only term debts is there, but keep in mind debts represents only the long term debts, not the short term debts in the formula. And below that, current liabilities. And current liabilities, it is also known as short term debts, long term debts, that is long term borrowings, long term provisions, and current liabilities, it is also known as short term debts. And the addition of debts and short term debts, it is known as total debts, because sometimes in the question it is given as total debts. and we were confused that total debts means also total liabilities, but it is not like that. Total debts and total liabilities, it is totally different. Total debt simply means it is the addition of debts and short term debts. Okay, so again we will see what is shareholders fund. So shareholders fund or equity or net worth is equal to equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserve and surplus, and short term borrowings and addition of short term borrowings and addition of with this one long term borrow provisions, it is known as debts. So debts is equal to long term borrowings plus long term provisions, and current liabilities, it is also known as short term debts, and total debts is equal to long term debts plus short term debts, or debts plus short term debts. Now see in the yellow part, a term is called capital employed. So what is capital employed? Simply represent the source of funds. So how many source of funds are there? Only two: owners fund and borrowed fund. So owners fund, shareholders fund, equity, net worth, all are same, and borrowed fund means debts. So that means capital employed is equal to shareholders fund plus debts. Okay, so what is capital employed? Capital employed is equal to shareholders funds plus debt, that is owners fund plus borrowed fund. So by keeping this format in mind, whatever formula you have written yesterday, we will try to find out whether we are getting those formulas or not. Just like total debts is equal to maybe long term borrowings plus long term provisions plus current liabilities, or total debts is equal to debts plus current liabilities or short term debts. Okay, or maybe total debts is equal to total liabilities, and from total liabilities what you will deduct, so that you will be getting total debts. So from total liabilities, if you deduct shareholders fund, you will be getting total debts. And if you want to get debts, what you will deduct from total liabilities, you will deduct shareholders fund, and you will deduct short term debts or current liabilities, because in this way figures will be given in the question and you have to find out how to calculate debts, how to calculate equity. So from this format many formula will be derived, just like debts is equal to total liabilities minus shareholders fund minus short term debts, so figure remaining will be the debts only. Or, or debts is equal to capital employed minus shareholders fund, because capital employed is the sum of debts and shareholders fund. So from capital employed, if we will exclude the shareholders fund, the remaining part will be debts only. And in this you have to keep in mind that total liabilities are always equal to total assets, because in many of the questions, rather than the figure of total liabilities, the figure of total assets will be given. So that time you have to keep in mind that in a balance sheet total liabilities are always equal to the total assets. So suppose you want to calculate the debts and the figure of total assets are given, so maybe the formula will be total liabilities or total assets. So what you will do, from total assets you will deduct shareholders fund, you will deduct short term debts, and you will be getting the amount of debts, because total liabilities are always equal to total assets. And if you are supposed to calculate shareholders fund, so in that case also, if we'll take the total liabilities, the shareholders fund is equal to, so from total liabilities what you will deduct, from total liabilities you will deduct total debts, so remaining amount will be shareholders fund. Or total liabilities minus debts minus short term debts, then also will be getting shareholders fund. Or from capital, if capital employed is given, Then from capital employed you deduct the debts, so you'll be getting shareholders fund. Or if we'll take total assets into consideration, so since total assets and total liabilities both are same, so shareholders fund is equal to total assets. From that you will deduct total debts, or you deduct debts or short term debts. Okay, so just try to memorize this format, and whatever formula you have written yesterday, we will try to derive those formulas, because if you are not able to derive the formula, this topic you will be getting lot of difficulty. And the ratio is also very important, because in your board exam also you'll be getting 6 marks question, and in your practicals also you'll be getting 6 marks question. That means out of 100, total 12 marks question you'll be getting. 12 marks question, 12% questions you're getting from this ratio chapter. And these formulas, capital employed, shareholders fund, definitely will ask in your viva, definitely 100%, using different approaches. How to, by using total liabilities, how to calculate shareholders fund, by using total assets, how to calculate shareholders fund, by using capital employed, how to use calculate the shareholders fund. And it is not a rocket science, it is simply a small format. You have to memorize the format in such a way that the format will be get stamped in your mind. There's no need of thinking anything. Okay, so write this format in a copy, and after that, by using the various approaches, we will try to derive the formula. And after you will be get well versed with deriving the formula, then we will start solving the question one by one. Because once you are able to derive the formulas, then this topic will be very easy. Thank you.